بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. This is the fifth night. And then you have to call yourself to account. How much have you done truly to honor yourself? In this, what we have read and we have shared, there's two aspects about ourselves. We are so weak. We are transgressor. We are people who complain too much, so hasty, and that is our nature. On the other hand, you are a gem, you are a diamond, you are something so precious that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated you in the high position. قَالَ وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. And the key is in your hand. So either to preserve this greatness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon you by being on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we said, if you remember when we were talking about the first chapter, that Bani Israel, what really deluded them, it was their own nafs. Therefore, what between you and the greatness, the true honoring, is what you need to do yourself in your relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the moment. This is the moment. Now, knowing that, subhanallah, we are nothing without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Literally nothing. Nothing. He created us subhanahu wa ta'ala. But however, we are literally nothing if you are not with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Truly nothing. Yeah? Imagine when someone fall in the trap of their desire. This desire, subhanallah, enslaved them, humiliate them, disgrace them, make them like, subhanallah, a slave, a chain around their neck and dragging them. Make them, subhanallah, their mind to be like deluded, corrupted, almost insane. You see people, subhanallah, who had the fitna wal-iyadu billah of zina. They're like, subhanallah, enslaved. Everything they think about it is that, or about money, or about obscenity, or about someone want to change their, subhanallah, their being, their gender. They become, subhanallah, disgraced themselves. And they become like enslaved to that thing. You know, they lose their honor, they lose their dignity, they lose everything. And they think that they're doing good. The true honoring, dear brother, respected sister, we have to understand it by now. And you have to multiply your effort to really, truly honor yourself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةِ. Do you truly think that you're going to be admitted in paradise? Until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will know. You have to show evidence. قَالَ وَلَمَّا يَعْلَمِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا مِنكُمْ. Those who really strove. وَيَعْلَمَ الصَّابِرِينَ. And those who truly, be patient. Now when you compare ourselves with our people in Gaza, is this patience that we have? Or like jihad that we have? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not putting for us obstacle. He's the most merciful, but talking to us about facts. It's facts. I mean, someone who prays and fasts and you think you're going to paradise, where's your mindfulness? Where's your truthfulness? Where's your dedication? Where's your devotion? How much you think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How much you make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How much? In last prayer, what surah have you read? In last day, how many dua you have thought, to make to Allah? In last month, how much you were mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Beside that one, subhanallah, thinking about his daily life and her daily life, about our daily dreams, about all the things that been instilled in us by this society, and everyone thinking, subhanallah, out of the box in which that he should be in, traveling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةِ, do you think that you're going to paradise? To help us be mindful, because if you truly want to save yourself, if you truly want to honor yourself, if you truly want that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will elevate you, because if you put a screen, an obstacle within your heart, and you make yourself being enslaved by your desire, or enslaved by your dream, or enslaved by the thing that you want to get, high position in politics, high position at work, It's always good. It's always good as long as under the umbrella of the pleasure of Allah, as contained within the path. But when it becomes all your life, all your thoughts is about that, then we put a lock between the gate between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We locked it. You remember what we have said yesterday? Allah is close, the nearest to us. But how much you are near from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةِ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it clear for us that if you do not be mindful of your jihad, when we say mindful of the jihad, it does not mean that subhanAllah you have to make every night qiyamul layl and every night. No, mindful of your purpose, mindful of your purpose. There's people always hanging out. Let's say, it's like past generation, people, let's say in their clubs or coffee. So one of the arifin always pass by them. He does not even look at them. He's busy. They told him, stop, and told him, when are you going to sit? You humble yourself and come sit with us. He said, what are you doing? You are killing time. They said, we want at least, your companionship. He said, I have 3 questions that really tormenting me and thinking about them the whole time. If I find their answer, wallahi, I will come sit with you. Not only an hour, I sit with you the rest of the time. Said, قالوا وما هذه الأسئلة يرحمكم الله? What is this question? He said, when I was in the womb of my mother, Allah sent an angel and He written that I am going to be a happy person or someone who's shaqi, a loser. And I don't have that answer. When I'm going to die, it's going to be an invitation to come out from the body. It's either I'm going to be a pious person or a person who is a loser, evil soul. And you say, when I come, gonna be in the day of judgment, and you see the distribution of the record, I don't know if I'm gonna get my record with the right hand or the left hand. If I'll find answer to this, I will sit with you. Dear brother, respected sister, this is mindfulness. This is what defines your existence. This is what defines your future. It's not the salary you have. All of that is rizq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is not the fame that you're seeking. Is not the dream that you want to achieve on this planet Earth. No. These 3 things. These 3 things. For this reason, one, in a very simple way, make dua to Allah. Be connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the one who created you. He wants you to be close to Him. He wants you to be near to Him. Once you make the steps toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when you make dua, everything. This is a start, subhanAllah, by small steps. In the hadith, the companion, the Prophet ﷺ قال ليسأل أحدكم ربه شعث نعله وملح عجينه وسبحان الله قال even let's any one of you look subhanAllah ask for Allah anything that crossed their mind, even the salt that they need for the dough, or the fodder or the food for their donkey. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So imagine subhanAllah. This is, you establish a relation. This is how help you to be mindful. Because when you said, I'm going to make jihad, what is jihad? Jihad, just be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Get out of that heedlessness that we are always, subhanAllah, we pray and we are not in the prayer. We fast and we are not in the fast. And we do our life, subhanAllah, it's like we live in parallel. We live this world and Allah and the deen is on the other side. And it's a reality. Therefore, when you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything. Or from the Salaf, as Ibn Rajab rahimahullah ta'ala said, they said to making the salah, they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alaf al-shat wa milh al-ajeen. They ask subhanAllah. Even when shoes they ripped, they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give them new shoes. Why? Because to show how poor you are, how you are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you start with the small steps, then subhanAllah, you're going to be mindful of Allah. When it comes the big things, the matter, you're going to be ready. You already have a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Musa alayhi salam mentioned in the khabar, قال لا يعرض علي أشياء من الدنيا. He's talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قال وإني أستحيي. I really feel shy to ask them. Sometimes it crosses my mind things of the dunya. And I feel shy to ask, Ya Allah. He said, no, ask even the milh of the ajeen and the alaf of the himar. Ask me even for the salt of the dough and even for the food for your donkey. Subhanallah. Why? Because to help you grow that mindfulness into your heart, it becomes that level when you say Hasbi Allah. Hasbi Allah. Then you feel it. When you say Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakeel, we don't feel it. We don't have a connection with it because we didn't make dua. We only make dua to Allah when we have a problem. But when you make dua for everything, you connect with Allah, with everything, subhanAllah, everything that you have. Even when something hurts you, Ya Allah, heal me. Ya Allah, give me this. Ya Allah. And that mindfulness really strengthens your nearness to Allah, your position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then when you become saying that people, fi hasbi Allah, then you'll see what Allah will do for you. Is these steps that led Ibrahim to be saved from the fire. He said, Hasbi Allah, wa ni'mal wakeel. Because you become the honored, you become the strongest. But when you are far from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you turn, you don't find anything. Because you didn't invest in the time of ease, then when the time was difficulty, you're going to be lost. And when the Prophet ﷺ with the companion in Hamra al-Asad that we have read yesterday in Surah Al-Imran, قال الذين قال لهم الناس إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم فزادهم إيمانا. When the people, they told them, people are gathering against you, so you should fear them. It increased their iman, and they said, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah is enough for us, and He is the disposer of all our affairs. So how can we elevate ourselves to that level if we do not have relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Let's engage in the dua. Make all the dreams convert them into the dua. Make all the wishes, make them a dua. All the small things that you make them a dua. That's how you become mindful to Allah. Then when you come to hurt some big difficulty, you're going to say, Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah will fulfill for you, as He did for Ibrahim, and as He did for the believers with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فَانْقَلَبُوا بِنِعْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَفَضْلٍ لَمْ يَمْسَسْهُمْ too. They turn with the gift and the favor of Allah. None of the harm has touched them, and they followed what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu dhul fadl al-azim. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us and help us be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and help us to show our humility to Him, and help us and guide us to be nearer to Him in this Ramadan, in these blessed days. Jazakumullahu khairan, and your salat. Yarhamukumullah.